All right. Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Dan Miller. I work at Unity Technologies as an XR evangelist, which means I focus on augmented and virtual reality. And today I'm excited to talk to you about using the iPhone X front-facing camera to do facial motion capture, as well as talking about how you can use it for a couple other features. If you guys have any questions about this talk or general Unity things, you can feel free to reach out to me at my email or follow me on Twitter. All right, so to get started, I first want to talk a little bit about Apple's AR Kit, which encompasses the front-facing camera on the iPhone X. Apple's AR Kit is Apple's augmented reality solution for handheld mobile devices. This includes iPads and cell phones. And the idea is that it's using something called visual inertial odometry, which is the combination of computer vision as well as IMU sensors like the accelerometer and the gyroscope. Some of the core features on the back-facing camera for AR Kit are plane finding, which allow you to find vertical and horizontal surfaces, position tracking, using those IMU sensors to know its rotation and position in the world, as well as light estimation, which allows it to grab a value and apply it to brighten or darken your augmented elements. Today we're mostly going to be talking about the front-facing camera and the functionality of it with AR Kit. Currently, this is only available on the iPhone X, so most of the things I'm going to be showing today are limited to that device. One of the main features is a face anchor. And what this is basically a position or a transform that gets tracked and mapped to your face. This allows you to put child objects on your face and have them move as you move around. Another feature is the ability to mesh your face at runtime. This is using that front-facing camera and the depth sensors to get individual vertices on your face and then create a mesh from that. And lastly, what I'm mostly going to be focusing on today is the ability to read blend shape values from your face at runtime. So first, let's talk a little bit about what are blend shapes. Blend shapes are a morph target animation where one set of vertices gets morphed or blended into another. This is commonly used in facial animation, where you can see a variety of different subtle differences or poses between each face that we're viewing here. Then, at runtime, Unity and other 3D applications can simply blend the values between all these different shapes. For AR Kit, they support 50 different coefficients of these blend shape values. I've added a couple of the subtle differences or blend shapes that you can see here. For linking into these blend shapes inside of Unity, as you can see me with the particles here, what you're able to do is simply loop through a dictionary that contains the string value of the blend shape, as well as the float value of what is being returned at runtime. For this example here, I'm simply controlling a particle effect to turn on and off depending on the value of my mouth open blend shape. I'm also using the face anchor feature in order to correctly position this near my mouth and track to my mouth and head as I move my face around. So now I want to talk a little bit about the demo that I'm going to be showcasing today and what sort of features I'm utilizing. And the first one is something we call ARKit Remote. This is an internal feature built by us at Unity that allows you to connect a device to your computer, run the Unity editor, and pull in AR data into Unity. It works with both the front-facing and the back-facing camera for ARKit, and it requires building a special app to your device. Currently, it's a one-way stream where it's taking back AR data and putting it into Unity. It's also capturing camera data, which is visible on the device when you run it. And so there's a few optimizations you might be able to do to improve on the demo that I'm going to be showcasing here. One of them would be restricting the data, such as the camera feed that's going back to Unity. And another option is you might be able to directly connect to the Unity editor rather than using this remote. The next feature that I'm going to be talking about, and I'll showcase more in the demo here shortly, is something called the Game Object Recorder. The Game Object Recorder is an experimental animation API that is currently available only in the Unity editor. This means that you can't build it out to a specific application and have it work on that. It only works on your computer in the editor. The nice thing that the Game Object Recorder does is it binds to a specific object and outputs any variables or any changes that happen to that component. Very similar to hitting the red animation button that you might be familiar with in the animation window. The difference here is that this is all controlled through an API. And I'm going to be showcasing that a little bit and showing you guys the code behind the demo that I'm doing here. So before I get into the demo, I want to show you guys a small sample app that is currently shipped with the ARKit plugin created by us and shows off all the features of the front-facing camera and the blend shapes. So this is just a camera feed directly from my face, and you can see that it's outputting a sloth head exactly where my face is. You can also see that it's tracking things like my eyes, as well as my mouth as I move and talk. This is utilizing the front-facing camera and blending between each of the blend shapes as the API returns those values. If you guys are interested in building this app or utilizing this little sloth creature, it is freely available and shipped today with our ARKit plugin. All right. So what I'm going to be showing off now is basically a different character that I've created here that also has blend shape values associated with him. Now, the way blend shapes are brought into Unity is in the import settings of a specific file. When they get imported into the editor, it's not what I When they get imported into the editor, they appear on the skinned mesh renderer under this blend shape drop-down here. Now I mentioned that ARKit front-facing camera supports up to 50 blend shapes. And that is what our sloth creature that I just showed has. Now the nice thing is that even though it supports 50, you don't have to have all 50 to still get expressive responses and still link into the coefficients returned. If the blend shape's not there, it'll simply be ignored. To show you guys a little bit how this works, you can see as I drag these values out a little bit that these shapes on the character's head are blended into these different blend shapes that we've assigned here. So you can see I'm closing my eyes by adjusting the eye blink R and eye blink L blend shapes, just like that, and now the character closes its eyes. So the interesting thing that I want to show today is how you can use the iPhone with the ARKit remote in the Unity editor to start capturing facial expressions and small clips. In order to do that, I've already done a little bit of configuration in the scene. The way the ARKit remote works within Unity is that if you have a compatible device plugged in and you run the editor, it will automatically spawn an object in your scene that allows you to connect. I'll be showcasing this shortly. The other thing that I've set up, along with all these blend shapes on the character's face itself, is a special script here that's going to cycle through certain animations and output all the blend shapes to these animation clips using the game object recorder. Lastly, I have a script here that is a part of the ARKit plugin called Blend Shape Driver. And this script is the one that actually links in from the ARKit SDK and manipulates all these blend shape values at runtime. A small thing to note, for this particular model, I had to rename a couple of values in that blend shape driver script in order to get it to match directly to my new character from the sloth. So now I'm going to talk about how the face recorder and how the game object recorder actually works. So to do that, I'm going to hop in to the script that I wrote. Let me make it a little bigger. So the general idea here is that I'm holding public references to animation clips. The game object recorder's specific functionality is to take manipulated components and output them to a game object or an animation clip. You can see here I have one for the idle, one for the walking, and one for the waving. You can also see here that I'm using the Unity Editor Experimental Animations API. Because this derives from the Unity Editor, this is what restricts this functionality specifically to the editor and to a computer, rather than being able to be run on a device. This gives me access to the game object recorder class. From there, you create a new game object recorder inside the start function. So when the scene first loads up, You set its root to be the game object, and then this line is actually the most important. This is what tells the game object recorder that I want to be bound and I want to record any values manipulated on a certain component. Because our blend shape values are all on the skinned mesh renderer, as you can see here, that's the bounded component that I'm assigning here through the API bind component. Next, inside the update function, I have a little bit of kind of built-in functionality to control some animation controllers based on what my character has. You'll be seeing what sort of functionality these had here, but it's a bit less important than the functionality down here. What I'm doing in here is I'm checking a private bool that I have called recording. I'm setting the face recorder, which is my game object recorder object, to take a snapshot basically every frame or at time.delta time as the application is being updated. If it is recording, then I'm going to start saving these values to this current animation clip that I've assigned at the top there. And lastly, I'm going to reset the recording. One thing I want to note here, as I was developing this project, is that you have to rebind and recreate the game object recorder in order to record multiple clips at the same runtime. And you'll see a little bit how I'm doing that and how that functionality works. The general idea here is that I'm taking a specific clip here in my editor, and they're assigned over here, and these are what get swapped into this current recording clip that I'm going to be outputting it to based on these animations. All right, so now let's hop in and view the actual demo. So I'm going to quit out of this. What's going to be running on my phone is the ARKit Remote app. I've pre-built this to my phone, and because my phone is plugged into my computer, the facial data is going to be streamed back directly to the editor and start to manipulate this little character's face. One thing I want to note about the ARKit Remote, as well as streaming it back to the Unity editor, is that it works best if the remote app that you build is built with the same version of the Unity editor that you're trying to remote into. So I've launched the ARKit Remote on my phone, and now I'm going to play the Unity scene. In order to connect the remote and my device to Unity, I need to use this special drop-down in the console window, which is now the furthest button to the right, and allows me to select my iPhone right here. Once I do that, I can click this button in the scene, and you'll start to see the character come to life and move as I move my face and the features on it. Now, what I've set up in that other script is the ability to start capturing multiple clips at the same runtime. So now I'm going to act out a couple scenes, probably very poorly, and you'll see how we can start to add this functionality and build a little story with our character. In the editor here, I'm just going to be hitting the space bar to record, to begin and stop recording. And then I'm going to cycle through different animations depending on after I've recorded the clip. So let's go ahead and get started. I hope everyone's having a fun time at Seoul. So that's the first one. Now I'm going to change to just a second animation clip. It's a beautiful day outside, right? All right. And finally, the third clip here. Thanks for coming to my talk. Bye-bye. All right, so I was simply cycling through animations, doing some bad acting, and recording all of these facial blend shape values to animation clips. And in order to show that, I can now go in and select these specific animation clips and show you the values. So let's go over here. Whoop. So you can see here that we now have all of these blend shape values bound to this specific clips. And if it works correctly, you'll notice that all of these have different little values. This is what I was capturing at the time that the animation was playing and after I hit the space bar, and then stopped when I hit the space bar again. Now, in order to hook these up to the character, I can simply go and create another animation controller that instead of acting on the character's body, it just controls the blend shapes. So to do that, I'm going to select his head, which has the skin mesh renderer, and I'm going to add this animator component. This is the component that controls, or that holds, an animation controller. For this one, I'm going to add in the face controller. Now, the face controller is very similar to the body controller that basically goes from any state into the idle, into the walking, and into the wave. If I select these clips, you'll notice that I have the assigned clip at which I output the motion to already linked up. And lastly, I have some parameters here to trigger these states based on my user input. So now that I've hooked all that up, I can hit the play button here, and off the bat, he's going to start playing back the idle animation of whatever I said a couple minutes ago. When I hit the when I hit the 2 key, he'll go into his walk and start to play the animation that I captured from there. And lastly, when I hit the wave key, he'll go into there, and I think I'm saying something like bye-bye as he's waving to you guys. And you can see that I can just kind of cycle between these animations, and because I've used the game object recorder, all of the values get output directly to the animation clips, and then you can easily link these back up to be triggered based on other animations as well. So that's mostly the demonstration that I wanted to give today. It's basically showing you a little bit of how to link into the blend shapes to either control turning objects on and off with a simple script, as well as how you can start to record these values in the editor using the game object recorder. You can then see how you can take these facial captures and bring them directly back to the character and use them in unique scenarios to create little clips. A couple things to keep in mind is that right now I'm not recording any sort of audio, but the Unity editor, as well as the device, has that functionality. So you could link into the microphone on your computer or on a headset and associate audio directly with these animation clips as well. This was a showcase of the basic functionality of what's possible, and potentially with some optimizations to the remote, you could have it be a little bit more one-to-one, as well as recording some audio with it to really bring a story to life. If you guys are curious about the script I showed, feel free to reach out to me via email. I'd be happy to give it to you there, as well as help you if you guys are trying to set this up. So that's pretty much it for the talk today. If you guys have any questions, I'm available for that, as well as general things like that. And the last thing I wanted to note is that, again, this is functionality that's available only on the iPhone X. So thank you.